Hello, welcome to the last McLaren fans podcast of the season, um, where I'm already getting myself into trouble off air. We've got a stellar lineup for this podcast tonight. Not Andrea Stella, but Stella fans. Uh, Annie Robinson, hello,
Hello.
and returning the one of the original gangsters herself, Sarah Merritt. Say hello, Sarah.
Hello, Sarah. I'm waving my championship-winning flag and car. Woo!
And yeah, good to have you back on.
Thank you
And
very much.
Perry, hello, Perry.
Hello. Hello, thanks for having me on.
I believe, in fact, I'm going to come back to you in a second. Hello, Keith.
Hello, Andy, and the rest of the gang. Thanks for having me with you tonight.
No worries, always a pleasure. I'm going to come back to Perry, who is not wearing papaya.
No.
But are you
Or
wearing
orange.
orange?
I can't tell what colour that is, Perry.
It
Can you
is
expand
rocket
this?
red.
This
Oh,
is Rocket Red.
Red.
Yes.
Because if you remember back a few years ago, we used to sell a t-shirt. When we won races, we all switched from the silver or the white we were wearing into Rocket Red.
Yep. And we never got to wear the bloody things, did we?
we never got to wear the Honda one. I've got about 6 of them.
I'm getting my use out of this one now.
Well, I think that's a good call and good for clarifying. We don't want anyone thinking you're a Ferrari fan tonight, that's for sure.
Yes, we just need to clear that up.
Need to stand taller.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking
So-
that, yeah.
So whilst we're talking about t-shirts, Andy and I are wearing the championship t-shirt. Andy, show your back. I'll show my back. Hopefully my back is on screen.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow. Look at it. They're rather dapper, aren't they?
Yeah,
They are lovely.
The same ones that they're going to be selling in the store.
Currently selling, yes.
They are
38
exactly
quid.
the same ones. They are the same ones that Mission Control were wearing as well. We were all given t-shirts out of the same box.
Wow.
Excellent.
I know. I think I'm going to treasure it forever.
Genuinely, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I'd have it framed. I don't think I'd be wearing it. It'd be in a
No.
frame now, hanging up.
I have to be honest. I've put it on again tonight before it's been through the wash. And there's a little bit of fizzy stuff on it because we were given glasses of champagne and I've dribbled all over it.
But I think this will have two wear-ins, like literally one on Sunday and one tonight, and then it's going to be immortalized and memorialized.
I don't know. I think I want to wear it. I think I want to spread the word. World champions.
Why don't you frame that one and buy one off the store?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just thinking
Yeah,
that.
maybe, but
So we
Right.
kind of jumped ahead though. Did something
Yeah, sorry,
happen on
sorry.
Sunday?
Yeah, I did a
Something
half
happened.
marathon and McLaren
wow.
won a race again. That's what happened on the weekend. Is that not right?
yes,
That is exactly right.
that is
Yeah.
exactly right.
I'm just going to say that's the third time that's happened in the last 3 years. Does this mean that I have to now enter a lot more running races again?
Or you have to leave the country.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think you need to book in at least 20 more half marathons or marathons. You know, or how many
seems that way.
races is it we've got next year? I mean, so get booking, Andy.
Yeah. I mean, somebody might come up with an absolute stupid idea of every point that McLaren get that I have to run a mile for that.
Well, you know that by the end of this season we'd scored 666 points as a team. So don't know what you think about that.
And won 6 races.
Yep.
Ooh.
Hmm?
Now, when Perry and we worked together at the weekend at a watch party. We was in Woking, but not with you guys. I took the wheelchair out for a spin on their grass, though, I must admit, and left wheel spin marks everywhere. But we were going with the 666, but I didn't put the 6 race wins as well. So, ooh,
Yeah,
interesting.
numbers.
Yeah, missed that number out.
I've got lots of stats I can share with you later. But I fear we should pass back to Mr. Donnelly because I think he may have an agenda that we're not sticking to.
No, the agenda's pretty loose these days. But yeah, there's a couple of things on here that we're going to get to. So obviously, what I'd like to kind of talk about is, well, we won the championship.
Woo!
Now, hands up and be very truthful here.
Oh.
If you were a McLaren fan last time they won the Drivers' Championship. I'm not talking about when Lewis was there and we got it disqualified, but last time we legitimately won the championship.
Drivers or constructors?
Constructors.
This one.
No, he means the
before that?
constructors.
26 years
He
ago.
means the Mika
The
constructors.
Mika ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
Who's
was
gone?
Keith. That was prime my introduction to my indoctrination to the McLaren life. It was Mika and David for me that I really got in and got absorbed by McLaren. So I can genuinely say that was early doors for me.
I was aware. I watched it with my dad, who was my F1 mentor. But I can't say I was walking around wearing McLaren t-shirts in the way that I am a fan today.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think that's
I mean,
fair.
we are a bit bonkers now, aren't we, guys?
Yeah, I mean I don't want to say my age. I feel like at least three of you might be upset if I did that. But I was quite young and so I didn't have merchandise, but I remember watching and being a McLaren fan at the time, but I was quite a new McLaren fan, so didn't really appreciate the championship as much back then. I think I felt it was a given. You know, McLaren will always be one of the top teams. I'm sure we're going to touch on the journey that's been since then. And as a result, this one just feels so much more than anything we've done before previously.
Yeah.
That's very true.
What about you, Keith?
Yeah, sorry I disappeared there. Gremlins. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to show my age now. I was a McLaren fan way back with James Hunt because every kid of my age wanted to be James Hunt. So, but yeah, so I can remember the last championship as well. But I didn't have the merch in them days. In them days, Mum and I couldn't afford the merch. It wasn't readily available. So these days, I definitely take advantage of it and wear something McLaren and papaya as often as possible.
Yeah, well,
Do you ever not wear McLaren stuff, Keith?
No, that is a true given. No, sir, I don't.
Do you know what though? You're right. Like for years and years, I could afford a hat.
Yeah, just a hat. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'd get the it used to be like 20 quid for a hat. It's now
Yeah.
like 35, 40. And that would be I would wear that all season long, retire at the end of the season. But that hat did not leave my head all year, and I could afford that.
But even then, though, to get the hat, you either had to do one of three things. You either had to live near somewhere where they had a Formula One style shop that sold merchandise from everywhere else, which was the old high street type thing. You either have had to have been to Silverstone or some other racing event where they had some of that sort of thing, or you had to order it from the Racing Lines magazine that Team McLaren produced back then. Which had
McLaren.net.
Yeah, I don't think they had the online ordering thing. I think you had to actually fill in a coupon.
Fill out a form.
A form in the actual magazine of what you wanted, and actually write your credit card number and details on there, and send it away, or with a postal order, or with a check. Which most of the people who are listening now will go, "What the fuck are they?"
It's a check.
I remember those days, but I was lucky. I had Brands Hatch on my doorstep, who always had that Formula One shop, so I was able to go in there but I still had to use my credit card, and they used the machine and swiped across it to get the numbers.
Paper.
The paper copy.
I think I bought a lot of dodgy hats because as a kid, I'd buy them from the guy outside Silverstone.
Yeah.
And it was never in the shop, and I never knew it was a Dodge fake replica.
Whereas now we spot a bit.
No, everything Andy's got's dodgy and replica and fake. Yeah.
See, I actually did it a fourth way. Again, possibly showing my age a bit, but I used to just ask Santa, and then at Christmas I would have new McLaren merch. And I tell you what, nowadays I still on my Christmas list top item McLaren merch.
Yeah.
And nowadays I just have to say, but I've got this already.
I don't want to upset you, but you do know that Santa's not real, right?
You're joking.
What?
There are kids listening to this. There are children listening to this, Sarah.
Mary, I
daughter's
still
just
pull my
outside the
teeth
room.
out and get a fiver.
There are no children listening to this. They don't know how to log on and stuff. No, you've got a child there, really. All right, okay.
Might be dogs listening to it. Anyway, right, yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, the last time we had a cap with world champions on or a T-shirt with world champions on was way back when Mika Hakkinen won the drivers' championship and stuff like that. Hopefully, we'll get some more merch sort of next year with that on as well.
Hope so.
But yeah, I mean that when you think of it, it's that long ago. It kind of does hit you a little bit, and you go, yeah. I was watching Formula One. I really enjoyed watching Senna, but then I lost a lot of interest in it when Schumacher was winning all the time. But I liked the grey cars, but I didn't realize they were McLaren. I wanted them to beat Schumacher because he was just winning all the time, and people who win all the time make the sport boring. Anyway,
until it's us. Dun, dun,
yeah.
dun.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It was last year, I think it was, we were talking about. I haven't seen a McLaren lead a Grand Prix for like 10 years
Yeah.
in person. Like it was only last year at Silverstone that we were leading a few laps.
Mm-hmm.
And for 10 years before that, it wasn't, I think it was Hungary. Hockenheim maybe. It was like 10 years before that I'd seen Jensen leading a race. That's the difference. We've just won a Constructors World Championship, and it had been 10 years since we'd been leading a race almost. That is insane.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I've been walking around the house for the last 2 days singing, "We are the champions, my friend." And actually, when Fern and I drove out of MTC past the sign where there was a large gathering, we played that out of my car with the windows down as we drove by and tooted at everybody. So, I'm enjoying it. I don't know what you guys feel. I'm telling everyone and me, even if I know they don't give a shit about it, I'm still telling them. I'm saying, oh, did you know where I was on Sunday? It was amazing. I'm drumming it into everyone. They're all going to be sick of it. But I have managed to get everyone I know. Now, if anyone says, would you like an orange? They go, oh, no, don't you mean a papaya? Which is a major success. Everyone at the football club says papaya now, and they all go on about how silly I am, but they still say it. So,
I'm intrigued, by the way, by the fan watch along in Woking. That sounds pretty cool.
yeah, tell us about that, Perry and Keith. Unless that's not on your agenda, Andy.
No, go for it.
Keith, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Perry, go on.
I was just going to say you're the better talker than I am.
Yeah, because I can't shush up. So what it was is over our Twitter groups, our Papaya family groups, etc. What we decided would be a great opportunity is if as many of us that could meet up near to Woking as possible, hoping that we would take that Constructors Championship so that we could obviously then go and visit the sign. So really and truly, it was all about having a Sunday lunch and watching the racing together as a group to really get that atmosphere going. But I think we chose Woking because we were going to bomb the photo. We were going to do the sign. We knew that we were going to photobomb the sign. And then there was that messaging McLaren like mad is, you are going to turn it papaya, aren't you? You are going to turn it papaya. So when we saw it had gone over, it was just fantastic. And I think Perry would agree. We thought we would get moved on. We didn't actually think at all that they were going to let us in. But the fact that they had security there and they were marshalling us in and saying, "All right, guys, cross over there. Please be careful here." They were absolutely. The staff were amazing. They were in jubilation as well because we were winning. We were winners. So yeah.
Let me give you a little bit of background on that, Keith. Whilst we were at our watch party in MTC, we'd said about the sign will be turned colour. We'll go out there afterwards. They were going out there at 20 to 5. Some of the mission control. We knew that we were leaving at 5 o'clock, so we knew in our head we'd be going at 5 o'clock. And they were saying, "Yeah, we've got staff out there. We've got everything sorted. We've got people to park them." They put us in a different car park to normal, so that the normal car park was free for any visitors. They wanted to encourage it. They wanted to foster it. They really wanted to do something about it. And the message when we got out there was, if you can wait another hour, we're about to put decals on it that say World Championship winners. And at that point, I'm like, I've been here since 9 o'clock. That's lovely. but I'm going to go.
I'm stopping.
I
know what?
saw that. I saw the pictures of those that were there later when it was a lot darker because we got there. It was just as it was setting, but it was mega. Again, Keith will agree. It was mega. Every car pretty much that was going
Yeah.
around that
Beep, beep,
roundabout
beep.
wouldn't stop, just on the horns.
Yeah.
So many people arriving just in whatever merch they had, just of all ages, just to get a picture with the sign lit up in papaya, was brilliant. And we did the same thing. I brought a bottle of Ferrari champagne and a racing
Hey.
boot. No one wanted any, but I think it wasn't to do with the racing boot. I think it was to do with just how cold it was, and it was
Yeah.
raining, and we were like, let's get the picture, let's all get home.
And I suppose there is one other bit that we've got to add, Sarah. We've got to own up
Yeah,
and make a
go on.
confession now. Because we know that Fred loves to bomb a McLaren photo, and we also know that Zach likes to bomb a Ferrari photograph. We did take my wifey, who is a Ferrari fan, and we got her to photobomb it just for Fred, so that they could feel that love.
Well, that
That's
sounds
cool.
like a good deal.
Well, I
Very
had a
question for
very
me.
different experience to the rest of you.
Yes.
Very, very interesting one in respect of I was in Lanzarote at the weekend. I'd done the half marathon the day before. I could just about walk to the pub, um, and put it on the big screen. So all the football was reduced to the smaller screen. There's about 5 or 6 of us watching there, and there was definitely no Max Verstappen fans there. The guy who ran the pub was very much I want to see a British team, British winner, all of that kind of stuff.
Brit bias.
Very British bias, yes, yeah. I mean, the place was called the Dolphin and sold Guinness and had a proper English pub grub sign outside. So, but for them to put the Formula One on the big screen was very kind of them. And yeah, I watched it there. But my God, oh, I've never sat there with so many nerves after that first lap, and
Oh,
I was just, I couldn't. I'd rather have run the whole thing again from the day before than sit and watch that whole race through. It was just so nerve wracking and so. Like my friend, he follows a bit of it, but he was saying, right, have you have you oh, it's 10 laps to go. You've done it now. I'm like, no, Abu
No,
Dhabi
no.
2021. All it takes
Yeah.
is a safety car. And he's going, well,
Yeah.
you'll be all right because you're at the front. I'm going, no, because they'll just swap the tires and they'll be faster than us. And it's
That was
honestly,
I didn't say it out loud because to say it out loud makes it real, but I can say it now. About 30 laps into the race, I remember looking up and going, Lando DNFs now, we lose the championship. And I
yeah,
just thought, why
yeah.
did I think that? Don't say that. Do not say that out loud. Do not say that out loud. Get these horrible thoughts out of your head. And obviously, luckily, didn't. But
So
we,
what would have helped you with that was what we were hearing through the headsets that we were lucky enough to be wearing, because we could hear. So first of all, I now know the F1 feed is about 20, 30 seconds delayed from real life.
Yeah.
Was talking to Mark Temple, and he was telling us he watches the start on telemetry because the television screens all around him are out. They're delayed. So he knows whether we've been hit or not at the start, just looking at telemetry. And he knew something had happened to Oscar before we saw it on the screen. And then we were sort of all going, worrying about it. And you could immediately hear the voices on the radio going, okay, Oscar, no damage. They were talking through everything. Andrea Stella came on a few times during the race and said, guys, please tell Oscar that he is very important. He will be the one that will score a point that may win or lose us the championship. Please don't let him think that because he's further back, he is not instrumental in this. It's very important. He might be the point we need. So they kept repeating that over and over again.
Yeah.
And you could hear that.
Nice.
That was really interesting. But we'd hear them say something like yellow flag in this sector, no, it's been disabled. And then on the telly, it would come up and everyone around me would go, even though we got the headsets on, a lot of people weren't listening to them. And then you'd hear that that's already been disabled. So you'd know it was all right. That was actually really calming, because I felt like everything you'd be worrying about watching it at home or watching on the big screen, I'd already heard someone say something about it. and they were mega in control. Andy, have you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, one thing that really came across on that was how much of a brilliant manager Andreas is. Like if I was an employee working under Andreas, I would be so happy him being my manager. Like the way he was so calm and control, he knew what was happening, he knew what he needed out of it, and he knew what he needed the person doing the action to do, and he was conveying it. It was like just beautiful. Like, honestly, the management that came across from the radio messages was insanely good.
It was. There was one other
So-
thing that I don't know if you guys would have heard, so I'm going to share that with the podcast. Tom Stallard was talking on the radio. They were talking about something, and he goes, I actually haven't told Oscar he's got a 10-second penalty yet. And we were all like, oh, what? He hasn't told him there's a penalty. And he goes, I'll wait for the right time to tell him. And it was a long time after he got it. So, so I don't know if that was played out on the world feed because I was listening on this. And obviously, the world feed pick and choose what they put out. They love to put a bit of Lando that makes him sound like he's panicking. They love to put a bit of Max on there, that kind of thing. I never heard that come out. So I don't know if that's a bit of a secret thing, but for a long time, Oscar didn't know he had a 10-second penalty, and they waited right till they were going to pit him before they told him.
Did you hear the Oscar's reaction to Max getting a penalty, saying that's the bit of a world champion?
Yeah.
He's one salty guy.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I actually think he might be world champion next year.
Okay.
I think he's on that
On
arc.
that.
Interesting you should say that. Sorry.
Did I make a really bad prediction at the start of the year that I'm not going to pay for? Because I don't know.
Well, go on, Keith. What were you going to say that you would?
I was just going to say, watching him this year and thinking of his mindset and the cool and calm, he's definitely going to be a contender. We just know it could come down to the wire between our two. Well, let's hope it comes down to our two drivers for the constructors and for the world championships. But whilst we was watching it, Sarah, I had the app open, so I was actually feeding back some of the info that we could from the fifth driver, etc. And yeah, it was interesting, listening to and reading what Oscar was saying back when he said good as well. He said he's got he's now received a 10, and you heard him say good, and that was it. He just shut off. He didn't say anymore. He just carried on driving. It's fantastic.
I love both the drivers, but that could be the difference. That calm demeanour.
Yes,
he's thinking about the job in hand.
Yeah,
I'm far more an emotional person than that, but maybe that calmness is what makes you the ultimate driver. I don't know, but I'm just throwing that out there as that could be something.
I was on a OKX WebEx with Oscar in the middle of season, and we got to ask questions, and someone else asked him, and he answered them. And I asked him what he does after Grand Prix weekend, after all the hype, after all the business. What does he do? And his literal answer was, he goes home, sits on the couch, and watches Netflix.
Yeah, he does actually ask.
Guy.
Yeah, Drive to Survive.
He does ask on Twitter for recommendations for Netflix as well.
Yeah.
So,
right,
yeah,
I'm gonna bring us back to the agenda now.
Oh, go on.
Hey,
I've got a stat, just to get it out there. Fastest pit stop of the season. Anyone know who it was, where it was?
It was 1.9 seconds.
1.9, yeah.
And who was that?
It was us.
McLaren.
Yeah.
Tied with Red Bull, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was though.
Okay.
Qatar.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Qatar?
So that's 2 years running we've had the fastest pit stop.
Yeah. Will you stop moaning at them now, Andy?
No.
Leave them alone, Andy. They've proved themselves.
I'm just going to make the point that, when I first complained about it, they got to get it right. Now they're nailing it. All my work. Anyway.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
Right. I want to ask each one of you this, and I want an answer. Right. Who was your MVP from the team this season? But it can't be Zach Brown. It can't be Lando Norris. And it can't be Oscar Piastri. Keith, I'm going with you first.
I'm going to go Will. When he talks to he puts him back in his box occasionally and reassures him. So, am I allowed to say Will? I mean, Andy's holding his head now.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Will Joseph, yeah.
I think Will's been there for him, and I think Will he gives him that opportunity to get it out, and then he brings him back again.
Yeah, we want praise the unsung heroes.
Mm.
You can even have a department in MTC or anything like that. Someone, some group, whatever you think deserves a mention. So Will, yeah, okay. Anything in particular stand out from anyone else about Will Joseph this season?
He flies helicopters.
Okay, I don't think that helps us win races, but it might do.
No, I
He's
was
good
going
shit.
to say he's got a technical mind, obviously, for the job he does.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's got the skills to be able to do that himself tells you that he's a good person in under pressure and dealing with those situations. I think he has a good relationship with Lando.
Yeah.
And a bit like GP and Max, they know how to speak to each other. If anyone ever said anything offensive or difficult, I mean, Will had some right difficult conversations with him. They still really respect each other well. There's no falling out. That's exactly what you want from your race engineer, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, Andy, I'm going for you next.
So I don't know. I want to say department, and I want to say the partners sponsors department.
Yeah,
Purely because as fans, that's something we get to see a lot of.
yeah.
But the money that goes into the company goes onto the car, and we might just have got $160 million. That's lovely. Like that's a lot of the budget cap. But for the last 10 years, we've gone from having no sponsors to having 40 billion sponsors on that car.
Yeah.
And it's I am a customer of a couple of the big sponsors of McLaren at work, and I
You've never mentioned it on this podcast once.
I mean, they're on the t-shirt. It's fine. And I genuinely feel as a customer, the people working that side, they make me feel valued. So I want to give them more of my money. So I'm from a personal side of life and also the benefit to the car, the customer partners, that team, they're just awesome.
Yeah, like that.
Right, Perry.
Was Andrea Stella?
You could have Andrea
Yeah,
Stella.
I think
he wasn't in the list.
he wasn't in the list. Great. I'm
Yeah,
going to say Andrea Stella then.
I would have mentioned him as well.
I think it's clear to see what effect he's had on the team since he's got that role, got the promotion. It's well earned. He's got such a huge history, and just before this race, I think it was on the social media that the last time he won the championship, he was on the other team, the red team. So he has history of winning championships, and it's shown this year. But I think the main thing for me was when Ted Kravitz or someone holds a microphone to him directly after the race. Now, he hasn't had time to think about what he's going to say at that point, and sometimes he can speak for about a minute, 2 minutes coherently and just give the best possible answers. Some races this year we've had Verstappen do what he does, and it'd be easy for him to be angry or just to lay into him, and instead he's given a calming message and said, "We go again next week." Something, just something very simple. He's laid the foundations for the rest of the team to say, "We've still got this. We have still got this championship. We're going to debrief and we'll come back calmly."
Sarah.
But he's not just a guy that does all the calming stuff. That doesn't show very well. But I like it when he does his in a team photo as well, don't you think? He's got a personality when he knows when to be the hard boss. He knows when to turn it on. And on that team radio, he definitely was. But he also knows when to be part of the team and congratulate the men and women of Woking back at McLaren.
Yeah. And who are you choosing, Sarah?
I'm going to go with the carbon shop and the people that are making the parts for the car back at the factory. I know when I spoke to Piers Thin at Goodwood that without those people, we wouldn't have parts coming out to the car, the improvements made, and all of those sort of things. It's an amazing team, and the drivers are the tip of the iceberg. They're very important, but you need those people beneath them.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Mine, I'm going with the new wind tunnel.
You like a bit of wind?
I do like a bit of wind, but it's given that it came in to what we saw in the car, came in 3 races in. you've got to say the correlation on that new wind tunnel has had a massive effect on us this season. So
Yeah.
that's definitely for me. I think Zach mentioned it early in the season that when we were doing testing, that the car that we had was not what we were going to see. It was not correlated right. And once we got the new wind tunnel, we'll see something a lot faster. And he was right, which is great. Right. So at the beginning of the season, we had three of us here. Had a chat on the podcast about what our bets were for the season. I had a really ridiculous one, which didn't seem ridiculous at the time, but I had some money on if Max Verstappen to win every race, right?
Odds were awful, though, weren't they?
They weren't great, but if they come in, I was
we talked about that at the time. Yeah.
But then we decided we were going to do more McLaren ones. So I had Lando Norris to win in a McLaren this year. And obviously that came in.
Good bet.
It wasn't really. The odds were horrendously bad. But I've got a nice little fact here. So I put a fiver on of odds of 1 to 3. Do you want to know how much I won?
Well, £15.
£6.33.
£6.66.
Oh, see, I did my maths wrong. I knew
I said 15. Don't worry.
Yeah,
you win your stake back plus.
Yeah. How many points did we get?
666.
Yeah.
666. Yeah.
There you go.
Yay.
I think Andy, you had about 15 different bets on. From
my big one was Lando to win the Drivers' Championship. I put five
without Max in.
No,
that's what you said on the podcast.
Oh well, I screwed up and put the other bet on. The other bet on. I had five quid at 21 to 1. I would have come home with £110.
Right. Okay.
And halfway through the season, they were offering me 33 quid back because they were that
cash out.
Yeah, but I didn't. No, I believed.
Well, I wrote down what I wanted to bet on and what I ended up with because I wanted to have a front row lockout, and that wasn't available on Sky Bet, even though I tried to request it. And I wanted to have Lando and Oscar both standing on the same podium, and that wasn't available on Sky Bet either. But fair enough.
Both of those came in.
Yeah, so but they weren't possible. So I ended up just doing the bet I do every year, which is Constructor Championship, Driver Championship for both drivers, and my favourite bet, which was Drivers' Championship without Max Verstappen. Because on Sky Bet, they were offering you everything without Max Verstappen. Constructors, everything. So
at this point, Sarah, you won some money on your bets.
Yes.
I won some money on our bets.
Yes.
Andy won nothing on his.
Well.
You wear a Ferrari shirt.
So
I did all right on a little bit.
Yeah. However, we have two guests on the pod tonight, and I think between them, they should decide his fate. So
I think he needs to dress as a giant orange. Can you buy those? Like the chili outfit. Can you get a giant orange?
I quite like that. I mean, I was going to say that Keith's wife's a Ferrari fan, and you could properly deck Andy out in Ferrari gear. But I like the orange.
Well, I will look online to see if I can find an orange. But if we can't and they do not exist, then I think Ferrari gear is a good one.
Right.
I'm pretty certain, out of fear of that red that you're threatening me with, I can find or have made a papaya-coloured orange.
Right. So next podcast at the beginning of the season, you need to wear an orange outfit. Not
not an orange outfit. It's got to look like an orange, like the Piccadilly.
Yeah. If we're not happy, then the Ferrari gear gets sent.
Yeah, we get the right to say it's not good enough. Definitely.
Yeah.
Right,
Andy, for the last 1 minute of the podcast, can I just shout some facts out at you? Would you mind?
Go for it.
Because I'm so proud of what we've achieved this year. So, we've mentioned it already, fastest pit stop of the season, 1.9 seconds. Lando second in the championship, Oscar fourth in the championship. We've got 666 points. We've won the Constructors. Last year, we scored 302 points in the whole year as a team. So that's worth thinking about. Lando's first win, which we had in Miami, and then he went on to win in Holland, Singapore, and Abu Dhabi. So 4 wins for Lando, 13 podiums for Lando. Oscar's first win in Hungary, then at Baku. So 2 wins for Oscar. Oscar, 8 podiums. The fastest laps, Lando got 6 fastest laps this year. Oscar hasn't had any. Driver of the day, Lando won 7 times, Oscar 2 times. There you go. What do you think about that? I mean, that was a good season, right?
Yeah.
I was Googling orange outfits. Did you mention 24 races, 0 DNFs?
I was leaving that for you because I saw you type it in the chat.
Yeah. Brilliant. I mean, that sums it up perfectly. I guess all we can say is that thank you for all of you joining us. Keith, Perry, Andy, and obviously Sarah. Welcome back again. Hope you can make a few more next year as well. We'll be back next year for testing, as always. I just want to say thanks for people for listening. Still, it's been an interesting year, and I think McLaren doing pretty well and winning has helped us keep going on the podcast and has given us something to talk about. Otherwise, at some points, it would have just been 2 boring middle-aged men just talking about crap.
Who's middle-aged?
Hey, I was 49 the last time I did a podcast before this one, and now I'm 50.
Right, and on that note, we should end it there.